Hey there, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Chad, this is my lovely wife Michelle. We're the pastors of Dwelling Place Church. Our vision is to manifest Christ in many ways to many people. In the beginning of 2011, God began to stir within our hearts to believe Him for not just one church plant, but a church planting movement. My family and I were living in Flowery Branch, Georgia at the time. We began driving over to Cherokee County to visit the city. We looked at 30 different houses and finally chose the 31st house and moved our family to begin the process of planting Dwelling Place Church. In the early months, we hosted people at our home to teach them the pattern of sound teaching and growth phases. We just began to plant ourselves in the city to see how God would have us serve. Our initial launch came at J.J. Daniel Middle School in North Cobb. Those early moments were so formative for the story of Dwelling Place Church. From having our entire storage trailer stolen to having to find a new location for worship, our congregation went through seemingly every hurdle a congregation can face. Through prayer, we just really believed that God wanted us to reach people who desperately needed Jesus, but specifically in a holistic church that was committed to equipping people's lifestyles, not just holding worship services. God made it clear from the beginning that He was calling us to model a new form of church leadership, a church led by a multiplicity of elders, not just one senior pastor. In step, the moss grows in 2015.
We decided to forego sleep, driving Highway 41 into Yosemite National Park. Pastor Chad, how you feel about it?
We got to start over. Stop that.
God's heart and His mission is to make disciples.
Meredith and I moved to Woodstock, Georgia in May of 2015. There were 15 people that made the decision to come with us. They left their jobs, changed their place of residence, and followed Jesus to plant this church here in Woodstock. For several months, we hosted prayer and training meetings to begin to lay the foundation of what God wanted to do. You know, the need in America is so great. The number of people who attend church has been in decline for a while. In fact, each year around 3,500 churches close their doors because of an inability to connect with the next generation and reach them with the love and power of God that's found only in the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, we were committed to fighting against this reality. From the outset, we knew that God wanted us to lead a Spirit-empowered church that was biblically faithful, spiritually discerning, and prophetic for our time. Our mission has never changed from day one. Our mission is to gather people to Jesus Christ and lead them to biblical maturity for the multiplication of believers, leaders, and churches. You know, what was once just a dream in our hearts is now being seen with our eyes each and every day. There's a Latin phrase to describe God creating the world. It's called ex nihilo. It means God created out of nothing. And that is indeed church planting. God's creating something out of nothing. We relaunched in our current worship facility on Sunday, August 9th, 2015. You know, we realized in that moment we didn't really start a church. Jesus did 2,000 years ago, and we were just joining Him in His work. The wonderful thing about church planting is that God doesn't just call pastors to pioneer new works. He calls others to come alongside them to help bring the vision to pass. This is not only through their financial giving, but also through their selfless service and prayers. And for the last 8 years, God has proven Himself faithful time and time again, not only empowering us to reach people with the gospel, but also in discipling scores of people that are now thriving in God's calling on their lives. God has used so many people in these last 8 years to get us to where we are today in the journey.
Since relaunch in 2015, we have been renting a storefront space for our church. 2019, through our first financial campaign, we raised funds as a church, paid for 5.3 acres of land on Springfield Drive with $500,000 cash. With this purchase, we were able to take a huge step in securing a place for our first Dwelling Place Church facility. Then came 2020. Then came the inflation, skyrocketing building cost of 2021. It seemed like the dream would be delayed forever at times, but as a congregation, we just kept moving forward in what God had planned for us.
You know, our heart has always been people. It's not even just about what we can do. You know, we are a kingdom, not just a castle. You know, you can have and we can have a pretty castle and build it up, and that's great, but what about the people outside of the castle? You know, every person that walks through the doors of Dwelling Place Church, in the back of my mind, I think, honestly, is that person going to be a part of the next church planting team. We want to see a revival across this city. It's been our heart for so long to have our own facility that can serve as a headquarters for Jesus' work. We want to have a building that people from all walks of life can come to and meet Jesus, and then find a community of people. You know, once they find that community in Jesus, their life is transformed and they discover their purpose. We can then make Woodstock a launching pad throughout the whole world for more cities and communities to be blessed through more churches being planted.
It has been hard. There's no doubt about that. And it continues to be hard, but why are we still here? We are here because God has called us to be here. And you have this sense that at the end of your life you will stand before Jesus and He will look you in the eye. Our heart's desire is that He would look at each one of you and say, "Well done. Well done, good and faithful servant." With that, we have the biggest announcement to make today that our church has ever announced. Through all of our faithful service, generosity, grit, and determination, we are pleased to announce to you today that we have officially closed on our construction loan to build our first facility on Springfield Drive. Land clearing and construction will begin very shortly.
Church, come on, it's a time to celebrate. Let's move forward and continue to manifest Christ in many ways to many people. Our best days are ahead. To God be all the glory.